And now another episode of Donny Boast Friday Football Flash with your host, Donny Boast.
Thank you, Jeremy. That was a rousing welcome. And to all of you out there listening to this podcast, it is now week 9. 9 times have we played this year in the NFL. 9 times. What does that mean for reality? We don't know. What does that mean for truth? We don't know. What does that mean for fact versus fiction? It remains to be seen. All we know is what we've been saying all season, and that is the NFL is in trouble, and nothing more indicative than what that was than the Jacksonville Jaguars going into the Tennessee Titans. Does that sound exciting to you? Of course it doesn't. Which is why Shahid Khan, the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, went in there earlier in the week to say, hey, why are we losing? What do we need to do? Guess what, Saeed? This isn't a bumper corporation. It isn't about assembly lines, and it isn't about logic. It's about football. And that's what these owners still, to this day, do not understand. We now move on to the week that is, because the week that was pointless. The Washington Redskins are technically at the Cincinnati Bengals, even though both teams are playing in Wembley Stadium in London. Once again, the NFL decides to put a very half-assed marquee matchup out there across the pond in a city that could care less of our existence other than if we are giving them money at a decent credit exchange rate. I mean, let's be real here, everybody. The Londoners and the Brits have better things to worry about than the NFL. They hopefully, pray to God, have better things to worry about than the Cincinnati Bengals. Why are the Bengals and the Washington Redskins over there? We are spreading racism across the pond, letting the Washington Redskins even show up in London, but I'm sure they're eating it alive because there's all sorts of different problems going on out there. Brexit, etc. Goodness gracious, what a time to be alive. The Oakland Raiders are at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How exciting is that? It's a Super Bowl rematch finally. Oh my God. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Unless you are an Oakland Raider fan, which, as you know, on the Donny Boast show, we are. Why? Because there is something we also like to adhere to, and that is the commitment to excellence. The Raiders will win. Moving on, Seattle at New Orleans. New Orleans will cover the 2.5. You heard it here first, folks. Arizona at Carolina. Carolina -3, and I like them. I think that's the best pick that Vegas has made in a long time. It's fair, it's even, it's real. Carolina will cover the 3. Yes, they will win. New England at Buffalo. Big game, big game, big game. +6 for Buffalo. Take the money line, everybody. I like Buffalo to win, not because they're better than New England, but because why not? Here come the Jets at Cleveland, a game we've all been waiting for. The game between the two most debacle franchises in the history of the universe. Or at least two of the most, because my goodness, there are plenty more where that came from. The Jets will lose at Cleveland. Cleveland will win. They're +2.5. I like the money line. It's the first win of the season for Cleveland. Everyone's saying the Jets are going to win. They won't. Cleveland's good enough to do it. They're going to be pesky. It's going to be a fun game. Kansas City at Indianapolis. Kansas City is favored by 3, but the Indianapolis Colts have Andrew Luck at home. I like them. Detroit at Houston. Houston -2.5. Well, when they're at home, anything can happen. But the one thing we do know is both of these teams are so pathetic and so terrible, I don't even know why we're even looking at this game. San Diego at Denver. That's interesting. That has implications if you are a Denver Broncos fan or a San Diego Chargers fan. Because as we all know, the San Diego Chargers have nothing riding on anything. There are no stakes when the San Diego Chargers play football anymore, except for where does Philip Rivers' legacy going to lie in the long-term legacy of the NFL. And that is because he is a future Hall of Famer, and now it's a matter of padding enough stats to make his bronze little bust look even better when it's time for him to get inducted to Canton. Maybe not a first ballot, but he's definitely going to be in there at some point, and that's all the San Diego Chargers are betting on because they have nothing else to go on. It's really pathetic what's going out there in San Diego. They should be very, very disappointed in themselves. The fans, too. It's very pathetic. It's very terrible. The game of the week on many... There's a lot of good games this week. I have to admit, this is a week to get excited. We're excited out here on a Friday. It is 11 o'clock in Los Angeles. Yes, we are a Lambs town now. It's terrible, but we're very happy to know that they're on a bye this week. We don't have to watch Lambs football, which means we might actually get to watch some of these good games, and one of them is Green Bay and Atlanta. That is going to be fun, because we're going to find out if Green Bay has what it takes this year to just sneak up on everybody, because they've been very under the radar, and that's what they do, and that's okay. They're still talented. They've got good ownership, a great quarterback, and good coaching. Anything can happen. They can sneak in there. The NFC is always up for grabs. They are Atlanta, the on-the-books wild card for this season, and I do like Green Bay to possibly get this thing going. It's 52.5 for the over-under, but I don't know. That's going to be a fun game. I got no picks on that game. Just enjoy it. Philadelphia at Dallas. That's going to be amazing. Philadelphia at Dallas. No one thought this game would have any implications, let alone be good, bad, or ugly. We all thought it would just be boring. But guess what? It's going to be fun. At least we hope so. Or it's going to be a lot of turnovers, which is why Vegas has picked the over-under at 43. I like the over in that. Usually I take the under in this game, but it's at 43. I think it's going to go over 45, and that's my handicap on that one. Minnesota at Chicago. Good Lord. Minnesota just got embarrassed last week in a very ugly, floppy, silly, sloppy game in Philadelphia. But Minnesota has some holes they got to patch up, but they're going into Chicago. Chicago hasn't been good, and I don't know, since Gale Sayers was playing. This is just... The Chicago Bears are getting another marquee time slot. It's Monday Night Football, and we're watching the Bears. There's no reason why we should ever watch the Bears, let alone on Monday Night Football. This is not a good team. Yes, they have a good market. Yes, they have a this and they have a that, but the history is worn thin, everybody. It's like rooting for the history of Mars. It might have existed at one point, but it doesn't anymore. We'll see you next time.